Welcome, Red Eyes members. We are talking with Sonia Barrett, and we are continuing our very interesting conversation on immortality and the holographic game, if you will. And I want to ask you here at the beginning, Sonia, a little bit about cryogenics. This seems to be, to me at least, to be a kind of a dead subject almost, in a sense. No pun intended, I guess. But the way that they actually are freezing bodies, they're freezing heads, they're freezing even brains, just in some cases. It's a modern version of kind of mummification, but the difference, of course, is that when they're freezing a body or head or a brain or whatever, you actually are destroying the cells in the body. They crystalline and they actually break apart. Right. Do you think that this actually ever will work as a viable solution, so to speak, and to cheat death in a way, or do you think it's a dead horse, so to speak?
Well, I believe that obviously it's not going to work in that manner. I do believe that it's sort of a Frankenstein process. I think that at some point they will end up achieving something which is going to be more robotic, I would say, because I think the difficulty here for them is, still working on the transference of consciousness. That's really the huge part of that, because even if they were able to keep a body alive, it could just be a shell. If they were able to do that, they have to figure that out. Now they have figured out how to upload thoughts. So they're able to actually do that. So they can upload thoughts to a computer. They've been able to break it down basically into mathematical, codes to be able to transfer it. So it all comes down to this mathematical process, because it's all formulas anyway. It's just being able to access the correct formula. I don't feel that it is going to pan out the way that they are thinking. But let's face it, a long time ago, this was also the same process that occurred in experimenting with human bodies in terms of making or creating what the human body, the human vehicle or ship would look like. And you're right. And the Egyptians, the mummification process, it was the same thing. And as we can see, that didn't pan out for them either. Every time we look at the History Channel or Discovery Channel, we see that somebody's been dug up.
Yes.
It obviously didn't work.
Well, we'll see one day. They might get up on two legs, right? We don't know yet. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, if it's going to be like the movie The Mummy, then we better get out the way, because
That's right.
that didn't fare out too well.
No.
But I think they're working on those things. And that's where experiments come in, with people who are not volunteers. So there's a lot of that kind of experimentation going on in terms of, removing someone's brain, trying to figure out how the brain works, trying to figure out, where consciousness comes in, how to actually upload or change. So I think those are the things that we don't hear about. And I think that's what we have to be concerned about, is what exactly are they doing in their process of trying to achieve this method. It is about consciousness. That is the part of us that cannot be duplicated. You just can't duplicate that. That's what is it Einstein? Energy can neither be created or destroyed,
yes,
but it can be transformed into something else. From one form to the other, but which is what we're talking about with immortality.
And also, sorry to cut you off there, Sonia, but before you talked about it's about controlling matter, you mentioned in the first segment, and that also means then, in a sense, that is about controlling energy, in a sense, or manifesting, maybe not manifesting energy, but mass and energy is basically the same thing in a different frequency. So we're talking about the same thing there.
Absolutely. And the that part of the statement about energy not being able to be created or destroyed, but it can transform. It can take one form or another. Well, that's, when you think about immortality, and what I've been saying is your body is energy. It's just the form. It's just a particular frequency pattern that holds it together, a particular formula by which your body is existing. So that, yes, that in itself, it can be transformed from one form to the other according to the shift in consciousness, the very thing that holds it together. We have to take all of these things and put it all together, and then we start to see a story that makes sense. Once we start putting it together, this stuff just starts to flow through you. Because it's all in your cells. All of this information is encoded in everything. I keep saying to everybody, there's really nothing out there. Out there is an illusion. Yeah. So if we can come back to that and then start to reactivate the memory, or even make our brains aware and our spirits aware that we are ready to grasp more and more of our memory, then all of those things begin to unfold, and it won't matter what a scientist tell you, because you will just know. It's just the way it is. I never studied science, physics before, but my needing to understand this and to know opened this door to me, where I was able to begin to see over time. I could see more and understand it, and it just flows through you, because you're just connected, you're just tied in, and now all you have to do is begin to do the work to be what you are seeing that you can be. You begin to move into that, because your body has to come along. You're taking your body along on the ride, and your body is what is really holding all of those programs in place that I mentioned before, and your body has to then be able to shift away from the program of the limitations of gravity and so on and so forth.
Yes. You mentioned before also a good point, I think, about uploading your consciousness to a machine. People are talking about life 2.0, spending life in a virtual world, What's your thought on that? Do you think, we know that they're trying to achieve it, obviously. We don't know how far they've come. They might actually have been able to do it in some way. We're not sure about that yet, but I'm sensing that this will something that will become even more and more prominent here, as it seems like what we're being offered here on planet Earth is like it's almost like the experience, if well, is degrading. The more people, if they're feeling depressed, whatever it might be, they might actually want to escape into a virtual world where everything is pleasant and happy, and they can even change the environments with the manifestation of their own thoughts. Do you think that is something that you take into the picture here when you're talking about controlling reality in a sense, or is that just an illusion that
it's just another matrix? It's just another matrix in the matrix. But everything we do as human beings, even in wanting to do cryogenics, everything is screaming that I have some sort of memory about my contribution to creating this reality. That's really what's happening. You see, those programs are ready to be overridden. That's why people are coming up with these concepts. This is a duplicate. The reality or the virtual world that they're creating is a duplication of this one. In actuality, it's just in one sense different. It hasn't taken that form yet. The robotic process is also a duplication. Yes. We're going to see more of these robots that look just like us, because they have the skin technology and all of that. And those robots are being programmed as well with human emotions, with all the possible character types and experiences and potentials that a human being can experience. And that's the reason why they had to find a way to decode thoughts so that they can be uploaded. So we can look at that in the sense of these robots are going to be able to take on those particular aspects And then people are going to, marry these things. They're going to partner with these things. They're going. I mean, and it's like they're shades away. The robots are shades away from being us. The only difference that's going to be between them and us is the consciousness, and that's the part that they're trying to figure out. What makes a human being alive? What makes a human being a human being? We see it in movies where these questions are being asked. They are trying to figure, that out.
Yeah.
The military, in terms of robotics, they are programming, but I understand that there's a lot more robots being used in the war, but not in physical, in these bodies as yet. But they're using a lot of robotics.
Yes.
But they're creating some of those because they want the robots to be able to assess who to take out. So they are wanting the robot. They're programming them to be able to pretty much think as closely as a human does, in order to be able to carry out some of these things. Eventually, that's what's going to happen. Eventually, they will upgrade them and upgrade them. They're babysitting in Japan. They're, they're doing all. We saw, what is it? Small Wonder. They've been showing it to us on TV for years. They've been gradually introducing the concept of robots being in our homes and part of our lives. It's going to be like a vacuum cleaner in the house. You don't have a vacuum cleaner? What? You don't have a robot?
Yeah, well, exactly. There you go. Do you feel that it's is that threatening in any regard to our experience? Do you think? I mean, let's say that AI in some way is created. It's that they're upgrading the intelligence so much that they will actually surpass us. Do you see a potential danger in that as well, or is it all good and fun in the game, so to speak?
I believe that the only way that situation or any other situation can really affect us is if we do not expand. We must evolve. Those robots do not have the same storage space. It's known and as humans do. We're just not able to use the brain in that capacity. But it is a vast computer. It is massive. It is endless in terms of the data storage space or the potentials that it has, because of the consciousness that actually embodies that form. So our job is to expand, is to evolve consciousness that will supersede any of these, whatever, the robots or whatever it is that they're doing. That's really what we have to do. We have to stay a step ahead. You don't stay a step ahead, then control by anyone or anything is always going to be a possibility. You hand your control over, and conveniences is the name of the game. Conveniences is how they get people. So some people are going to find these very convenient, and they will, through gradualism, as is said, people will eventually find this as a normal way of life. Just like everything else, it becomes a normal way of life. So the conversation you and I are having 20 years or 30 years from now, they would look at us like, how can you believe it that they didn't want, oh my God, they didn't want robots? That's just crazy. So I think we have to look at how the human being is gradually moved and shifted into